Senator Ted Cruz. How are you, Senator?
Glenn, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I was watching last night, and I remembered being at the caucus for you in Iowa, and what a bizarre system that is. Last night, I think the Democrats showed us that, they're on top of the securing the election results. Holy cow.
It is an absolute mess. It is chaos. And, I got to say, I really feel for all of the thousands of volunteers. You've got candidates who've spent a year or more crisscrossing the state. And as you know, you've got volunteers. We had people come from Texas, from all over the country in 2016, basically move to Iowa, stay in dormitories, and go out in blizzards, knocking on doors, making phone calls. They poured their hearts into it. And it's not too much to have at the end of the night an election result.
That's a nice benefit.
I cannot imagine the frustration, the anger they're feeling.
So, Ted, what is your, let me give you some of the headlines. Republicans gloat over Iowa caucus meltdown. This is from CBS News. You're mentioned there. Are you gloating?
A little bit.
I don't think there's anything.
So it's interesting they say that. I've said a total of one thing today on that, which is I sent a tweet as I was driving in this morning, and my tweet pointed out that Dems today can't even stand at a gymnasium and count who's standing under which sign.
Right.
These are the people they want to put in charge of our health care and everything else in our lives. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
These guys, it ain't that complicated.
Right.
Student council, okay, everyone for Joey, everyone for Susie. Raise your hand, we're done. And these guys can't do that, but don't worry, we'll keep you alive.
Right.
We'll keep your mom alive.
Right.
We'll decide everything in your life.
Yeah, no, we're smarter than you.
The age of the socialists put these geniuses in charge of everything that matters to you.
So the other Washington Post said, conservatives spread false claims on Twitter about electoral fraud as Iowans prepare to caucus.
At this point, we don't have any evidence of fraud. And I had an old boss of mine who used to say, never explain anything with malice that could be explained with incompetence.
Yes.
I think these guys just screwed up.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the reasons you and I are both really skeptical of big government.
Right.
Because it screws everything up.
Right.
So let's have it do what it needs to do. But other than that, leave everything to the people. And it's, I'm sure there were a bunch of smart people who had a great plan, and they had an app. I think it's called Shadow. So now
Shadow, if that doesn't give you confidence.
So now apparently these are the Peter Pan Democrats because they can't find their shadow.
All right. Okay, so let me go into just because I think it's incompetence. I don't think there's anything going on. But
on the other hand, it may be the secretive Joe Biden Illuminati working to snuff out the Bernie revolution.
Right.
That's entirely possible, too.
Yeah, right. If I
had blue hair and dreadlocks and things pierced all over my face, I would believe that.
I would believe that, too. Especially after the paper, the leading paper, they always come out in Iowa, Des Moines Register, and they come out and they say, right the day before, here are the poll numbers. Well, we now know that the poll numbers that were spiked were this, and this has now been confirmed. Bernie Sanders, 22, Elizabeth Warren, 18, Pete Buttigieg at 16, Joe Biden at 13.
Wow.
So you put that together with what happened last time, where they really were, torching, doing everything they could, it seemed, to take down Bernie Sanders. You're a Bernie Sanders fan. You're even a Elizabeth Warren fan. This does nothing to help you believe in the party.
Well, look, there's no doubt that the Democratic Party machinery is terrified of Bernie and they're terrified of Warren. And the problem is the base of their party is enthralled with crazy leftist ideas. The base of their party is angry. They've got pitchforks. They've got torches in the street. And so we saw 4 years ago the Democratic Party did everything they could to stop Bernie then. And part of it is, look, Democrats are statists. They're authoritarians. They believe in centralized power. So they have things like superdelegates. The Republican side, we don't have superdelegates.
Right.
The Democrats have had a big chunk of their vote to decide who their presidential nominee is are lifelong career politicians who are called superdelegates who get to decide.
And they did that after Reagan won. They saw that the Reagan Revolution changed the Republican Party, and they said, we don't want that to happen to us.
Inevitably, statists and authoritarians don't trust the people. So the rhetoric is always the people.
Right.
We care about the people, so put me in charge of the people. That's their message.
Right.
Someone actually believes in the people said, all right, how about let's leave the people in charge of themselves and get government. Jefferson referred to the Constitution as chains to bind the mischief of government. The modern Democratic Party, they don't believe there's any mischief to be bound.
Right.
And it all comes down to they have incredible faith in their own ability. They're smarter than you are. They know better than you do. And it's a combination of elitism and condescension and willingness to employ brute force. If you don't disagree with them, they will use the coercive power of the state to make you agree with them.
Right. So let's switch gears here. First of all, any indication on when they're going to have a account?
No clue.
They keep saying, last night they were like, no, we're just verifying. It didn't take you this long to verify. This is worse than Florida.
I have no idea. So I will say, as you know, I've sort of entered your world a little bit in the last couple of weeks because we've launched a podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz. It went from zero, non-existent,
number one,
to it skyrocketed to number one in the country.
Yeah,
we were going to film a podcast last night. We were sitting there to film a podcast. Michael Knowles, who I think is coming in shortly afterwards. So Michael and I were there in the studio, and the whole plan is when the Iowa results come in, we'll go on and talk about it. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there.
And waiting.
And we're sitting there. And we're sitting there. I think we sat there 3 hours, and we finally said, well, I don't think we're getting results. Right. Now, the nice thing about a podcast, you don't have a hard time. It's not like I go on at 9, and it's like, all right, if we don't have Iowa results, I'll tell you what, let's wait and do it tomorrow. Let's actually know what the results are. I went to bed figuring I'd know when I woke up.
Me too.
Who the heck knows?
Yeah.